Look, y'all, as a teacher and a mom, folks are way too concerned with pronouns and trans folks because it's basic second grade science standards that are causing dramas in my family. Let me explain. I have a second grade son. He comes home from school one day and he's like, "Hey, Mom, we're learning about the stars." And I'm like, "That's really cool." So he's telling me all things stars. They have different colors, different temperatures, constellations, things like that. A couple days later, he comes home again. He's like, "Hey, Mom, guess what? Did you know that the sun is a star?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's really neat. I love that." He comes home again, still talking about stars. And he says, "Mom, did you know that stars die?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I knew that." He says, "Wait a minute, if the sun is a star, that means it's gonna die out one day." And I'm kind of like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, what's gonna happen to us?" And being the good mom that I am, I'm like, "Oh, it's nothing you have to worry about. That's gonna be a billion years from now." But also being a good mom, I've taught my kid about empathy. And he goes, "Well, yeah, but what about the people who are living on Earth a billion years from now? What about them?" I've already dug deep into the story, so I just continue to go. And I'm like, "Oh, well, by then they will have the technology to travel around the solar system. They probably will have found a whole nother solar system with its own star and a new Earth. They'll be totally fine." He goes, "Yeah, but what about all the dead people still on Earth? What about us? Are they just going to leave us here?" And I'm like, "Well, we probably won't mind because we'll be dead." And he goes, "Okay." And then he goes, "No lie, y'all." He says, "Are we going to be naked?" And I was like, "What do you mean, are we going to be naked?" He goes, "Well, do dead people wear clothes?" And I was like, "Well, I guess it depends on the person and what people believe. Like, you don't have to be naked." And he was like, "Well, good, because I don't want to be naked." And then he goes, "Remember when we were walking by that cemetery the other day and they had that like coffin thing that was above ground, one of those like stone coffin things?" And I was like, "Yeah, I remember that." And he said, "Is there a vampire in there?" No lie, y'all. That's what he says. "Is there a vampire in there?" And I said, "No, there's not a vampire in there. Vampires aren't real." And he's like, "Well, how do you know?" And I was like, "I just know." He goes, "Well, can you prove it?" And I was like, "No, I can't." He says, "Well, okay, well, what's going to happen if this vampire comes out and attacks us?" And I'm already so deep into the story. I'm like, "Look, I'm your mom. I'll go into like mom mode and I will attack this vampire. And I can assure you I will keep you safe because I grew up in the country and we grew up tough. So that vampire won't stand a chance." That seemed to pacify him for the moment. And then I realized it is not trans folks and pronouns and drag queens causing issues in my house. It's literally the basic second grade science standards that are causing an existential crisis.